to our podcast. And by that, I mean on Wednesdays we read. I'm Hannah.
I'm Laura.
And we are two best friends who are doing a deep dive into a book series, one book at a time. Right now we are Scythe on the Wheel of Time, discussing the third book, Dragon Reborn, from Robert Jordan. So Laura, right now, what are you reading, watching, and or enjoying?
So I'm still reading The Starless Sea. I haven't really spent a lot of time reading this week, but I wanted to talk about another book series that I read last year, and I don't think you've got to this one yet, so this gives me like a step up to finally have a book series that I have read before you. I feel like so special that I have gotten to this series. It is the Scythe series by Neal Shusterman.
Yes, I have never read these, and you have like sung their praises.
They are really good. So it's a trilogy, and it's a dystopian sci-fi series, and it's in a futuristic world, and it kind of answers the question of how do we control the population if there are no threats to our health, if we have figured out all cures to diseases and that technology, we're not having any kinds of accidents. If we can, if people are in a car accident, we can bring them back right away. How do we control the population so that the earth isn't just like overrun with people, And so in this world, they have these people called scythes that go and they can do these gleanings to control the population. So it follows these two characters, Citra and Rowan, who are Scythe apprentices. And it's just a really good series, YA, but I would totally recommend it to people. The first book is great. Second book was, I think, a pretty solid sequel. Third book was just okay. But overall, as a trilogy, I loved it, and I would totally recommend it to people.
You talk to me about this all the time. Like, you really were into this series. So
especially the first two books. I was like obsessed with them.
I know you had some critiques for the third book, but
the third book, there were like things that were just kind of thrown in, and I feel like he tried to take it different directions, and it just didn't work out the way that he had planned it. And maybe if it was a longer series, it could have worked out.
Right.
But it seemed kind of like, even though it was a super long third book, it seemed like things were kind of thrown together since he was throwing in all these extra storylines.
I get it. I think that that's a healthy critique to have. I will also note that you texted me saying you are starting the audiobook of The Shadow Rising because after 3 months of doing this, 3.5 months of doing this, it has now become our comfort to actually just listen to the audiobooks of Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time.
So I sent you a video on Marco Polo the other day, and I was like, this is my life. I have to listen to the Wheel of Time audiobooks for comfort, because when I'm having a bad week, I only want to hear Michael Kramer's voice saying sheep herder, or Kate Reading saying the wheel weaves as the wheel wills. Like, really, this is my life. What have you done to me?
Well, yeah, this is technically my fault. I apologize. You were willing at one point, but now it's just like Stockholm syndrome, where it's like, I've always wanted to be here.
Exactly. I love this.
We actually do love this, guys. We love talking about this and sharing with everyone. But
I actually do really like the series. And I'm just gonna say, I like the fourth book too.
Oh, good! I can't wait. I heard they like get better and better, and then there is unfortunately a slump. But I'm not going to tell you where it is because I feel like you don't research that as much.
I think I already know where it is because people are saying it's like around book 8-ish.
Yeah, I've heard that there is going to be a slump.
I'm worried.
We're here to complain about it to you guys when it happens.
I'm right in the good part of it, apparently, because people say that like books 3 through 6 are really good, and I'm like, okay.
It's just a reminder that maybe
I'm gonna be over the good stuff too soon, and once I get into book 8, I'm gonna be like, oh, come on, really?
This is a reminder that maybe Jordan needed a better editor who was not married to him. Maybe.
I mean, that's not our problem.
I mean, it's our problem because we picked this book.
I guess.
We made it our problem. Are you watching anything good right now?
I've just been watching Community again. I'm
I love Community. It's so smart.
it really is. And there's just so many things about that show that I just crack up over. And I don't even know where to begin with that show, but it's just really clever.
One of my favorite episodes is when like the group finds out that pot like jump 30 for like random stuff. I mean, obviously you have the stupid like paintball episodes or all of those are starring ones. But one of my favorites is when the group finds out that like the rest of the school hates that they always take that study room. Like they think these bullies came in and stole the study room for them, and everyone's like, their reign of terror is over.
I kind of love when they have episodes where they kind of like focus on some of the secondary characters, and they kind of put it into perspective for the viewers that these main characters think this is all about them, but you know what? We have all these things going on in our lives too.
Yeah.
So I love that perspective.
That and the Dungeons and Dragons episode is one of like the best
that one's pretty
moments of comedy and like actual storytelling.
Yeah.
But yeah, that show is great. I love that show. At one point because it was like on Netflix and Hulu for a while, and I gotten pretty far in on Netflix, and then I started rewatching the beginning seasons on Hulu. My roommate was like, weren't you like 6 seasons in? And I was like, yeah, but I hadn't reached the end yet.
6 seasons in a movie.
Yeah, 6 seasons in a movie. Well, there is a movie coming out, I think, right?
Is there really going to be a movie?
I'm pretty sure that there's like they recently had like a Community movie.
Community has like a huge cult following.
Right. Yeah,
and people are very into all of this. So I never know whether it's actually a true thing.
April 2021, they say it's coming. Like a trailer came out for it in January. I'll have
a
to
real
send it
trailer or a fan made it?
No, it's a real trailer with all of them.
Okay, well.
So
I'll have to watch it.
I mean, people can correct me online, but I just saw 2 articles on Google that said it's coming. So I mean, it can't be wrong.
I suppose.
That's obviously me being facetious. It could obviously be wrong, so people can definitely at me, but I think it is supposed to be, it's coming. I mean, they at least did some kind of trailer for it in 2021, so I would not be surprised if it was coming out, or if they were just doing it for fan service. Who knows? But I saw some kind of trailer for it. That's good.
The thing I love about that show is the progression of the Dean character.
He's so funny.
He is amazing. Like he just has such a I don't even know. He's just great. He starts off slow, but then towards the end, you're just like, this is the best character in this whole thing.
Yeah, I agree.
What have you been reading and watching?
So I did finish the 6 of Crows. It was very good. I'm very excited to get the next book. I bought 6 of Crows, but I'm going to give it to a friend and then donate it because I just don't think it needs to be on my library or like my bookshelves.
Sure.
Not that I'm saying people shouldn't have it on their bookshelves. I just don't think I need to like reread it a million times. I could probably get it from the library once all the hype goes down if necessary. And I don't own a lot of books, but I'm very excited to get that one. I also finished Pet last night. I stayed up till midnight finishing it. It was so good. People should not go into it thinking it's an adult themed novel. It is a young adult 202 page novel. Okay. But what they do in 202 pages is amazing because it's supposed to be like this utopia where bad things don't happen because all of these adults had like a revolutionary where they stopped all the bad people and all the bad things. And then you find out that that's probably not the case through this like mythological creature coming out of a painting.
Okay.
And it's very good. I mean, definitely look up trigger warnings for people.
Sure.
But it is a unique fantasy that, again, it's starring a transgender girl. Akwaeke Emezi does so many great things with their novels. I cannot recommend those books enough. I want to read all of them. They teach me something different each time. And just the way they don't mince words. Like I was reading something where people were like, I wish it were longer. And it's like, yeah, it could be longer, but it didn't have to be because the story was very dynamic and interesting. So people who want to have a good different type of fantasy, definitely look into that book. I highly recommend. And then I have a couple of like NetGalley books I need to read before June 1st, because apparently I signed up for 3 of them that are coming out on June 1st. So that was on me, but I'm about to head off to vacation. Lauren and I are actually doing the podcast a little bit earlier this week, which is why we don't have a ton of new stuff to tell you guys.
It's actually Wednesday when we're recording.
Oh yeah. This is the first time on Wednesday.
On Wednesdays we record.
Yeah. On Wednesdays we recorded this time. So our episode
Full
dropped.
circle.
Yeah, it came about. So the tweet
I sent
out
guys.
today,
It's happening.
The tweet I sent out today telling you exactly what Laura and I are reading is exactly what we're reading at this moment. So just so you guys know, that's just mind-boggling. But I'm taking my iPad with me to read a couple of books that I have on deck, and also 2 library books, because why not bring 6 books for me to read at the same time?
That's a lot.
Well, I just, me, like if I don't want to read on an iPad on the plane, I'm going to pull out a book. And what if I don't like the book I started? I'm going to want to pick the other book. So
yeah, have a backup.
Yeah. And then for watching, I did end up watching Saved by the Bell.
Oh, how was that?
It was really good. I liked it a lot.
Some of the actors from Moxie are in Saved by the Bell.
Okay, well, I haven't seen Moxie, so I don't know which characters are in Saved by the Bell. I would actually say that my only critique is I didn't need the old cast in it. Like I thought anytime they were
How
in there,
much of the old cast was in it?
Not like a ton, but there was one episode pretty much dedicated to them. And then like Slater and Jesse Spano are like people who work at the school, so they're always part of an episode. And like they had stupid jokes, like Jesse being like 20 years free of caffeine because of that like one episode back in Saved by the Bell where she gets addicted to caffeine pills. And they have stuff like that where it's just like, I didn't need any of this. I don't think it adds to the story. I thought you could have just had it be the kids of like, the kids of Zach Morris, and he just never shows up, and I wouldn't have minded. Like, I think it would have been a stronger show that way. And it's just like, whenever you have a nostalgia show, it's almost like they try to shove down your throat, like, no, these characters were meant to be back in high school. And I mean, obviously this is this like story for children, but it's also aimed at people who watch Saved by the Bell growing up. And like, I don't need characters who dated in high school to end up together. I don't need that, nor do I want that. Like,
you don't?
No, I don't.
Oh.
It's almost like people grow when they leave high school, and they don't need to end up with the same person they were with at the beginning.
Wait, what?
I haven't read.
I'm just kidding.
I haven't read very much of like Sarah J. Maas. I know lots of people love her. I'm not.
Is that like the A Court of Thorns and Roses?
Yes,
person?
I read the first one of that. I heard it gets better after the first one. I didn't care for the first one, and it just takes me a lot when people are like, "Oh, don't worry, you'll love the second book," and it's like, "Well, I already read the first one and I didn't like it."
I was just say, if I didn't like the first, will I actually love the second?
I have heard yes, because the one thing about Sarah J. Maas that I heard is she is not going to start with a love story and finish with that love story all the time. Like she will keep the character growing as a person. So if in later books they should be with a different character, she will put them with that character.
Oh, well, that's kind of a good thing.
Yeah, I am invested in that kind of thing because I just don't love the like, you have to start out with the, there are plenty of shows I grew up with where they didn't start off with the same boyfriend they had in the first season,
Right.
So I appreciate stories that do that. But yeah, I thought Saved by the Bell was very good. The most popular girl in school is a transgender student, which I loved. And she's like the most powerful girl in school, which is adorable. And then they make a lot of jokes about Zach Morris's son being a sociopath because he does stuff like Zach Morris. And I'm like, gosh, I like this. Like, it's very good and very cute and endearing. And I finished it all before I had to delete my Peacock app, which I proceeded to do immediately after finishing Saved by the Bell, so I wouldn't have to pay for it.
How long is that free trial? Is that like
a week?
Oh, that's not very long. Come on, NBC.
I know, but they just don't care. I mean, it's only $5
Hulu gives you a month. Come on.
No.
Get on board, NBC.
It's only $5 a month for NBC though, with ads, which kind of sucked. I don't know why I didn't just get the subscription without ads if I was only going to use it for a week, but I think I just didn't want to take a chance. But you can definitely watch a whole season of Girls 5 Eva and a whole season of Saved by the Bell. It's very easy to do. I did it myself. So
okay.
And then I haven't really watched anything else yet because it has been 3 days.
Yeah, we haven't had a lot of time to read and watch a bunch of new things. So.
No. Yeah.
Since we last talked.
It's been a hot minute. you can cut this out, but my sister just got a fish, and my sister's cat is named Simba, and she is about to adopt a new cat named Nala, which she gaslit my niece into picking by having my niece watch Lion King and then say, what should my new cat's name be? Should it be like Lion King with Simba and Nala? And my niece said yes. And so she was about to get a fish. My sister is very into getting new pets right now. And I said, are you going to name? And she was like, it's going to be an orange fish. And I was like, are you going to name it Timon? And she was like, well, now I am.
Oh my gosh.
So she just sent me a picture of her new fish, Timon.
I don't know how she's going to handle sharing her love between both of these pets.
3 pets, Laura. They all deserve the same amount of love.
Okay, well, I guess I don't equate fish on the same level. But
I mean, we'll see. Probably not, but
maybe I just don't have that good of luck with fish.
Simba's just a handful.
I don't think it'll last long.
Simba's a handful, Laura.
Simba is very well loved, and I'm just concerned with how she's going to be able to share this love.
She sent me a picture of the cat. Well, not the cat. She got it, but she did get this cat from a breeder.
Oh, so, wow.
Yeah. It's
what kind of cat is it?
I forget. She told me on the phone.
Himalayan.
Maybe. I don't know.
A furry one?
It's a furry one that can come in seal or something else.
Himalayan.
Okay.
I'm just
I believe you. I believe you. I just forgot.
Does it look like the cat from Meet the Parents?
I could not tell you what the cat from Meet the Parents looked like.
Oh, come on. Killing me.
I'm sorry. I did not watch Meet the Parents that many times.
Oh,
I watched it like 2 times.
The cat's like the star of that movie.
Can I ask you a weird question?
Go for it.
What are your favorite movies? We were asked this on Twitter movies? Today. Yeah.
Okay, this is going to sound really dumb.
Okay.
But whenever I used to get sick or like not feel good, I always wanted to watch Seabiscuit.
Okay.
And so it's like a weird comfort movie to me.
Does that have Tobey Maguire in it?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you.
He plays Red Pollard. I've seen it enough that I know all the characters' names.
I definitely know who that is. Guys, I had horse lessons growing up and I was not that into Seabiscuit.
I was very into horse things growing up as well. And yeah, earlier when I asked you to create some fan art for our podcast, I was thinking,
real story.
I was thinking, you know what, Laura, you could draw some things. And then I was like, Laura, you're not going to draw anything except horses because you spent most of your childhood drawing horses. And so you were only good at drawing horses. So
funny story. I became obsessed with horses from reading, my love of reading. Mm-hmm. It actually like created my love of reading because I used to read the Thoroughbred series.
I read those too.
Do you know how many you read of them? Because like that was a very specific moment in my life.
I had a ton of them.
Me too.
And then I had the
prequels. Club. No, I didn't do Saddle Club, but I did the prequels, which were all about Ashley at her parents' farm. So guys, this was a book series that started with like Ashley at a small farm in Kentucky. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of her prequel series, Ashley's family pretty much like goes bankrupt and they have to move to like a giant farm in Churchill Downs where her dad works as a horse trainer for this big rich family. And then like in the first book of the Thoroughbred series, Ashley like tries to take care of this like baby horse that they pretty much like almost wanted to like just leave to die. Like she nurses it back to health. And then it becomes like the greatest racing horse of all time. I cannot make this series up. And my favorite was either book 25 or 36. There is a
25
book.
Or 36.
I didn't read that many into it, but I do remember like I skipped a bunch and got that book. And it actually was the one that turned me off of the Thoroughbred series forever.
Really?
Because they pull like this weird book where Ashley's pregnant and gets kicked at Christmas by a horse.
Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about. I read this one.
And then it jumps like 10 years and you find out Ashley died and her daughter is now existing without her mom, never meeting her mom. And it's so terrible. And at the end, you find out it was all a dream Ashley had in the hospital after she was kicked by a horse.
Yes.
And it didn't matter.
Yep.
I remember reading that book and being like, I think I have to be done with this series.
Well, I mean, this is a children's series, so that's kind of a dark storyline for kids.
That is
to
the
begin
darkest
with.
timeline, guys.
That's the
Pulling it back
darkest
from
timeline.
Community. That's the darkest timeline.
And really, what kind of shock? We don't need to have that kind of shock factor for children. That's a twist that nobody needed.
I just had to mute myself. I was laughing so hard. That was the moment I had to be done with that series. I was like, this is horrifying that they just did this to.
What age were you when you came to that realization that you could
was
not?
Like 11. Like, I think like 10 or 11. Like, it was not.
What we learned is that even 10-year-olds can recognize that was an unnecessary plot.
That's like what they did to, like, there was a TV show where in Dallas, they killed a character off for a season and then he decided to come back. So they just had that entire season be a dream that his wife had and he was just alive in the shower. Like, it's the same thing.
Maybe she watched Dallas.
She was just like, I'm just going to go down this like dark road where the main titular character of the Thoroughbred series
Ashley
dies.
has a dream that she gets kicked and dies.
Dead. And then like the stories just continue because like
that'll really mess with these 10-year-olds.
So these books, guys, went through like various different characters. So then it just went back to normal. And then her daughter was just the main character. And everything was just fine because Ashley was still there, even though she was the character you lived with for the first 10 books. I can't get over that book series.
I also just love that you were able so there's no way that if you would have like said to me, can you just please list out the entire plot of the Thoroughbred series, that I would have been able to do it. I would have been like, yeah, I read lots of those books when I was 10. You were able to recall so much of that in detail that it is impressive.
Because I loved those book series. So I remember like it first started with Ashley and then it went to the girl who wanted to be a jockey, but she was too tall. Mm-hmm. So then she learned
saying this, I'm like remembering it.
So then the girl learned to be a jumper. And no matter what, they always married the first man they met. And
As we do.
And then it turned on to Ashley's daughter, whose name I cannot remember. But I don't know why my head I didn't even read Ashley's daughter's storyline. I just used to read the synopses and be like, I guess that's what happens in the next book.
Ashley's daughter.
Guys, we were recording really late tonight. So it's a little bit goofy.
Okay, yeah, Google. I know I spelled Thoroughbred wrong.
Is it like I feel like it's Christine or
it's Ashley Griffin. What's her daughter's name? Sierra? Is that it? No.
That doesn't
Christina.
Feel right. Christina. Okay, yeah, it was Christina. Okay, I had Christine. So I didn't do Saddle Club, but I did do the Horse Whisperer one where she was a psychologist for horses.
You mean Heartland?
Heartland, thank you. Yes, you're right. Horse Whisperer is a movie, not
and that's a TV show, Heartland.
It was a TV show in Canada, but I never watched it.
I think it's on Netflix, actually.
Oh, well, we should do that, guys. You want us to do a
Let's
bonus
do the
episode?
Heartland series next.
The joy in Laura's eyes at the thought of us doing. We could not speak for a month in a Heartland book. You can't.
Okay, you know what? This would never end. There's so many of those books.
There's so many
books.
The
Wheel of Time was a long series. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? We're like, all right, guys, we're on book 100 of the Heartland series.
Is she gonna marry Ben or the other one? I can't remember.
She just did the T-touch on another horse, and it's cured of every single thing that it was.
Its nose dipped down to its hindquarters like a bow as it was running in circles.
So I feel like it's one of those things where she's like always talking about doing the T-touch thing with them, which is just like a massage technique, if I recall. But these horses could be in like horrible car accidents. And all she'd have to do is the T-touch, and amazingly, Laura, she'd have a phenomenal bond with them. They were no longer scared of whatever it was. It wasn't instantly
just the T-touch, Laura. She would sit in the middle of a paddock and watch them run around in circles with her for hours and hours and hours until they would dip their head like they were bowing to her because now they trusted her.
Okay, you know what? I have lunged horses in pens before, and I have done that for a long time, and I've never had the kind of results that this character did.
Well, that's my dream career is now down the drain.
Yeah,
also a book that
I don't
started
know
with
that
tragedy. Her mom died at the beginning of
Yeah.
the series, and the
Yeah.
first book is her dealing with the emotional turmoil of losing her mom. People, this was the first book in a very long series, and then like their deadbeat dad comes back, and he's all better now.
Well, because doesn't she live with
her sister,
like her sister, and
who moved back
the
from
boyfriend?
New York?
Yes, that's right.
No,
and
but
is
the
her
first
name
couple,
Amy?
The main character's name is Amy. The sister's name is something masculine, I want to say. But for the first couple books, she does move back in with the boyfriend,
or something like that.
She moves back in with the boyfriend from New York City, and then boyfriend from New York City gets kicked out for the local vet. I remember the storyline.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Guys, this is Horse Talk with Laura and Hannah.
Hannah, there are only 20 books.
We can't talk about those books for a month.
I guarantee, try me. We could talk about these books for a month. Come on.
I think I could handle that. I think I would
They
go
are,
crazy.
okay, so there's no way that there's 700 pages. We could fly through these 20 months. I mean, and there's special edition ones.
Guys, if you want
a
us
holiday
to do,
memory,
we would have to do like all the books in like 2 months. We would
Summer
like talk about the first
all
half.
the books in 2 months. What?
Yes, we would do the first half of the books in
People would
month
lose
1.
so much of the plot.
They wouldn't. They really, really wouldn't.
Come on. We want people to have the full experience.
Welcome to Horse Talk with Laura and Hannah. I'm going to say that again. I can't believe I brought this up. I don't know why I brought it up. I kind of lost our entire track. This has gone down a really dark road.
I feel somewhat responsible because I said that Seabiscuit was like a comfort movie to me, and then we just went down
That's how we got here.
Very deep rabbit hole about horse books.
Laura, what are your favorite movies?
So, yeah, I guess still, I'm gonna say Seabiscuit is still a comfort book or comfort movie. I haven't read the book. Maybe I should read the book.
You should definitely read the book.
Did you read the book?
I did not. I just think you should.
Is it Laura? I think it's Laura Hillenbrand is the author of that. It's on my radar. I think I actually own it.
Read that book, Laura. Read Seabiscuit.
It
continue on this horse journey.
To me because my parents knew I loved that movie. And I just never
continue on that journey, girl. Do it.
Well,
no other favorite movies?
I still like horses, but
yeah, me too. I like horses.
Yeah. I'm really good at drawing them, so I'll probably do some fan art.
Yes, we can post that to our Instagram. Yeah. Keep an eye out for that, guys.
Yeah.
Do you have any other favorite movies?
Oh, you know what? You say some of yours, I'll be thinking.
Okay, so mine were Jaws.
Jaws?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies.
Really?
Yeah, I love Jaws.
That is so random.
I know. Anytime it's on TV, I'll watch Jaws. Anytime. I don't know why. It's one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
I can't explain it.
Okay.
That or Jurassic Park, they switch sometimes, but it's one of the
I get the Jurassic Park thing. I really like Jurassic Park too.
But mostly Jaws. Like anytime it's on TV, I'll stop and then I will watch the rest of Jaws. I was once in a bar with 2 people talking around me and I just sat there watching Jaws. And then my friend was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, the movie's on. Like I can't not watch Jaws.
Interesting.
I don't know why. The Big Sick.
Okay. Yep, that's a really good one.
Outside the context of the first time I watched it with you, where I had to do house closing and walk around an empty, dark house to make sure no one was hiding in our sorority house.
Oh, you're lying. This is not one of your favorite movies.
It is. No, it is. I watch it all the time. It's The Silence of the Lambs.
When did you even finish it? You were like terrified.
I was terrified because I had to walk around our sorority house at midnight to make sure no one was hiding in crooks and crannies after you made me watch 2/3 of Silence of the Lambs.
I mean, okay. Can I also just like ask you, did you really think it was that scary when you watched the whole thing?
No.
Okay.
But when you're watching it 2/3 of the way through.
Looking back, do you think it was maybe an overreaction that you were like really worried it was going to be like super scary and you're like, oh my gosh, I cannot do this right now. And then you like hyped it up in your mind?
No, I think it was directly attached to walking around our empty house at midnight to make sure no one was hiding in it after you made me watch 2/3 of Silence of the Lambs.
Obviously it wasn't empty. I was there.
Yeah, but like you weren't walking around with me. You had continued to watch the movie.
I mean, you didn't ask.
I just went to bed and Laura said, "I don't think Hannah's coming back." And that is a true story on our friendship in college.
Yeah.
I do like it now, though. It is one of my
I
favorite
left the
movies
movie
now.
up for you to watch, but I don't think
No, that wasn't it. You left up Sixth Sense once on my computer as a woman who was terrified of ghosts, and she didn't warn me. I just opened my computer screen and Sixth Sense was staring at me.
Have you ever seen that one?
Yes.
Did you think that one was that scary?
Yes and no. I don't love thinking about ghosts.
I don't think that one was that
scary. It wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. I have a weird line with ghosts. That one felt less realistic. So more like the charmed ghosts. I'm
honestly more bothered by Misery than I am these movies that people think are like super scary.
I would never watch Misery.
Really?
No, I would never watch Misery. I also listed
Kathy Bates is amazing.
I also listed Inside Out.
Inside Out? Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah, thank you. And Newsies, because it is one of my favorite movies of all time.
That's fair.
So I had 5. People were posting 4, but I listed 5 because I don't bend to other people's rules.
Way to be a rebel.
Do you have any more that you would like to list, or is this like something we should think about and come back to?
You totally catch me like off guard with this, and then I'm like, I can't think of any movies.
I did think about mine for a while. And I did make a joke that usually I tell people my favorite movie is Pride and Prejudice, the BBC miniseries.
Oh yeah,
I'm surprised
you didn't list that.
I told them I usually pick it, but it's technically not a movie.
That's fair.
It's a miniseries. It is a 6-hour long thing.
That's fair. I really like Moana for a Disney movie.
Ooh, that's a good choice.
Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite.
You just Disney did a little bit of a shiny arm shuffle for you. I'm so shiny.
And then probably have to go with like the Lord of the Rings series also.
It's a good choice for you. I like that journey for you.
I love those movies.
Okay, well then you've got 5. You've got Moana, 3 Lord of the Rings.
If I think of any others, then I'll mention them later.
Scream them out in the middle of the discussion.
Yeah, just like randomly.
Okay, now that we've gone on a couple different tangents.
So back to the Heartland series.
Okay. So in book 1, we meet Amy.
Amy Fleming.
Thank you for knowing that.
Coming home. I have the Wikipedia page up right now.
There's a farmhand who might be more than a farmhand, guys. But okay.
Every one of the covers of these, it's like
her face,
a small horse running at the bottom of it, and then it's
her
just
face,
like
and another person in the background,
and then like another person in the background, like a guy like looking over her shoulder, or like the two of them standing there together. You're like, no, obviously he's the boyfriend.
Usually he's looking over his own shoulder, and I always remembered trying to pick out if it was Ben or the farmhand, whose name I cannot remember, which is weird. It's Ty. Oh, thank you. It was always like Ben or Ty whose face was like in the background, and I was like, but which one is it? Because like their descriptions are so similar. It's just like basic men with brown hair. Guys, look up these things. Be entertained for hours. But let's get back to the Wheel of Time, the Dragon Reborn, and discuss the women of the Wheel of Time series. Who would you like to start with?
Let's start with Moiraine.
Okay.
What did you think of her in this book?
I mean, I don't know anymore. I wouldn't say she's like annoying, because I don't think she is annoying. I think she's just doing what Moiraine does, which is knowing way more than she lets on.
Agreed. I think there were times when I was annoyed with her, because I did get annoyed with the whole thing with her and Lan, especially.
I hated that storyline.
She really she made him uncomfortable, and she's really just kind of throwing it in his face like, yep, I might die, so you might not be my warder, you might have to go to this other Aes Sedai. And I
didn't get why she was
nice.
Yeah.
I just think, there's better ways to handle that kind of situation than like constantly just like kind of teasing someone about, I don't know, breaking a bond that you have with them. I don't know. I didn't really like it.
We definitely talked about that in the storyline, where like she told him, I'm okay that she told him, hey, I decided to do this. We're going into this new dangerous territory. Belittling his feelings about it did not sit right. So I didn't love when
I'm okay with the communication of it as a thing. Right. But the way that it's constantly brought up is annoying. And that's a Robert Jordan thing, to just constantly bring things up. So apparently we will hear them so many times that we're just like, okay, yeah, this is obviously going to happen because he's mentioned it, I don't know, 60 times within the last sentence.
Well, and then it's like, don't follow me. I need to do this on my own. I need to figure out stuff on my own. It's just like, why?
Right.
However, I did love that she wielded balefire because it kind of and then both she and Nynaeve did this.
Yes.
And it kind of shows that, like, although Moiraine is someone who likes to, move, like, have the machinations on her side, work with the different boundaries, push different things, she's also someone who will, in fact, break the rules.
Yeah, because they're not
if she needs to. And she said, like, I could be punished for what I just did, but then she chooses to keep doing it,
Right.
And that shows that, like, Moraine's kind of going out on her own and realizing the failings of the Aes Sedai in some type of way. And I do love that journey for her.
Sure.
I mean, she's always going to be a capable character. She's always going to know more. And then people already know I kind of ship her and Perrin sometimes, but that won't happen. They're cute together. I know. I just like seeing them interact. You can ship a character who's never going to get together.
You can. I mean, that's a dream thing, but
okay, but there's nothing wrong with having dreams, Laura.
He would be much better with her than what
Fael,
whatever is happening there. That is such like a baby relationship. Oh my gosh.
So like that's why I like them. Like I thought that they were cute together.
I think that Robert Jordan thinks that Moiraine is just far too old to be with.
Yes.
Anyway, should probably be
if she
an old geezer.
If she is in fact 40 and these are 18-year-old men, then yes, she is far too old for them. That is fair. But like,
she looks great for her age.
But if they were just kind of like awful and thinking that like a 25-year-old was too old and he's like, in a couple of years, like this takes years. It's like, oh, if he's 23 and she's like 30. Sure. I mean, that's still too much of an age gap. I'm 30.
I also feel like there's just like this, that this sounds really bad, but there's this thing with guys that they cannot envision themselves with older women.
Right.
Whereas women tend to be able to envision themselves with an older
have
partner,
you ever seen Hugh Jackman's wife? Hugh Jackman envisions himself with an older woman and it worked out great.
Yeah. Okay. He is adorable.
Right?
On Instagram
he just loves
with
his
her.
Wife so much.
Yes. He always does the little hashtag my Debs. I'm like, oh, Hugh, you are so cute.
So the greatest showman of men can see themselves with older women.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to be like a creepy thing. Like I think they would have to be appropriate ages. I age Moiraine down in my head, which is where it came from. Mm-hmm. But I do recognize she's actually supposed to be older.
I think just the way that Robert Jordan always mentions how she's very attractive for her age, that like makes me think that she's old when he says that.
Well, also the creepy thing is it feels like Robert Jordan sexualizes Moiraine, but Moiraine is not a sexual person.
Yeah, well, he tries to do that with everybody.
I know, but like that's what makes me uncomfortable about it. It's like he keeps sexualizing her. Yeah. But she doesn't seem to want sex. And like, if someone doesn't want sex, then don't sexualize them. Like, just don't. Back off.
Yeah, as far as we know about her now, she's not really interested in relationships, like romantic relationships of any kind.
Right. So I just don't love that aspect of how Robert Jordan describes her.
Sure.
My thing is innocent of like, if they were the same age, I would want Moiraine to be with Perrin. Maybe it's just like, I really like Moiraine.
I think it's just because you like both of those characters.
Yes.
And I totally get that.
And if they were the same age, I think they would be good together.
Sure.
But the age gap is concerning, and I do not assign myself to a 40-year-old woman dating an 18-year-old boy who is still a child.
Sure.
But I feel like that's important to say out loud for everyone. But yeah, overall, I like that like Moiraine is kind of getting out of her shell. She's always been someone who does her own thing, but I like seeing that she's like objectively breaking the rules to do her own thing now because it makes her a little bit less like rigid, but I do hate the way she treats Lan.
Yeah, agreed.
Anything else with her?
No, I'm good.
All right. Who next? Do you want to do
Let's talk about Egwene.
Okay.
We got a lot of Egwene's perspective.
A lot of Egwene's perspective. I mean, I love Egwene. You know me. I'm an Egwene stan.
I know that you're a big Egwene fan.
Do you want to start off with her? Because you're a little bit more critical of her. So it might be better coming from you.
I don't really have a ton of criticism of Egwene. I really think it was nice to get her perspective in a lot of these chapters, and I think that she is really coming into her own, and that she's really just wants to be considered a capable person.
Yes.
And I think that there's a struggle right now, especially with her and Nynaeve, where she feels kind of like Nynaeve is babying her.
Yeah, infantilized.
And yeah. And that's not a great feeling for anyone. No. So there's definitely a struggle there, but I think overall Egwene has a good storyline in this book. I think that she's probably on track to become a really powerful Aes Sedai, and I think she's slowly getting over Rand. I'm
Thank God.
hoping
make it faster.
I'm hoping that it goes quick, but it probably will go quickly because it was mentioned once that Gawain and Galad like her, so should probably be married to them soon. One or both of them, or they'll both be fighting over her.
Both. One or both. Oh my God.
Take on a couple warders and
just like a little polyamory with two half brothers.
I don't know how this works. I don't know how the whole Aes Sedai thing works. What do the Green Ajah do? Can they marry multiple people?
I think they
can have multiple warders, can't they?
I just don't think it would be brothers.
You don't know.
It's just
but
like
it might be a situation where they're like fighting over her or something.
It's always a plot point that bothered me in novels where they're like, I think I'm in love with your brother. And it's like, who would be okay with that? I feel like that's something you just let die.
While you were sleeping.
Yes, but while you were sleeping, there was no like sex involved. It was more like infatuation versus the real thing.
I actually really like that movie.
No, I know. I would not argue.
That's me going back to the favorite movies.
No, okay, well, that's good. I actually saw While You Were Sleeping for the first time this year or last year in December. Yeah, I'd never seen it before.
Oh, I love it.
It is very cute. But it's more like Vampire Diaries, where like she has a very significant relationship with the brother for years and years and years.
Oh, yeah.
And then she falls in love with the other brother. And it's like, this is awkward. And I don't like it.
I'm not big on vampires, so I don't totally know what you're talking about. But yeah, I get it.
It was a huge plot point in Vampire Diaries, the TV show, which I didn't watch. I just read about.
Never watched it.
But it bothered me that happened at the end of it. I just don't like when you have like a serious relationship with a brother where it's like obviously sexual and then you go for the other brother. It's creepy. So I hope that doesn't happen for Egwene. But I loved everything with Egwene's story. I do like that she's not the most powerful of her friends, but she fights for her seat at the table. And
I think they've said multiple times that like her and Elaine are probably going to be about equal power.
I think but in this book, they even told Elaine, like, you could be one of the most powerful Aes Sedai ever. And no one's saying that to Egwene as much. So although I think they could be on the same level.
Egwene is really unique because she's a dreamer. And I love that whole situation.
Yes. I just think like Egwene's going to have to fight a little bit harder to be taken seriously, which is probably why she's having this conflict with Nynaeve, because Nynaeve doesn't take her seriously. And it's one of those things where it's like, no, you're my friend. You're supposed to respect me.
Okay.
We will also discuss this with Nynaeve, but I realize that Nynaeve and Egwene are oldest and littlest sister vibes.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I don't know that it's one of those things where Nynaeve doesn't take her seriously.
I mean, Nynaeve literally in her own POV said something about like, I changed that girl's diapers. You're not taking someone seriously when you're saying that.
I mean, I feel like you still can. I
not that way where she was like, why doesn't she listen to me? I have better ideas. It makes sense. I changed her diapers. That's not taking someone seriously.
I mean, you can still be supportive of your little sister and take them seriously.
I know, but the way she speaks about it,
also have cared for them.
I know, but I am, just so people know, I am the youngest sister, so I was very triggered by their relationship in this book.
Yeah.
Very triggered by this relationship in the book.
Hannah was very triggered, and she's also very Team Egwene and not Team Nynaeve. And
it bothered me that like it kept, and also we'll get into it with Nynaeve, but Nynaeve is very hypocritical, but Egwene is very hypocritical, and I will admit that as well, because Egwene.
And I think that's another thing too, that we get so much of Egwene's perspective in this book that you do get that like anti-Nynaeve stance, if that makes sense. So
this was just wish fulfillment in my mind.
A little bit, kind of.
No, I just like Egwene a lot. And I feel like
Mhm.
she's struggling for her seat at the table and she's struggling to be taken seriously. Like even at her acceptance thing, she had
Mhm.
what's her
Well, she had a
name?
huge hiccup there. That was
Yes.
totally crazy. But
But she also had what's that one woman's name? The red Asha
Elida,
woman. Elida sitting there being like, you didn't earn this.
yeah, and then she's
And
like, Elaine, go ahead.
yes.
And
Yes, exactly.
that made no sense to me because I was like,
Well,
really?
that's the whole thing. It's like
Like,
Elaine's being taken seriously as the next like queen, as some, you know,
yeah, well,
and
that's a matter of like her status. And
right.
Egwene is kind of seen as like a wildling
Yes,
by a lot of people.
exactly. But that's why I like Egwene is like she's fighting for
Sure.
it. She's not gonna like take it sitting down, and she just seems to
Mhm.
be, and she like wants the life she's living. I think that I
Mhm.
really like that about her. That being said, the whole like Gawain might like you. Oh, I never considered that. It's just like, can we make her a little less boy crazy? I just don't care.
Yeah.
Um,
Not here for that.
no,
I'm not here for any of these rushed relationships.
you're right. They're all rushed. It's
I'm just
just,
not.
yeah.
Let's talk about Nynaeve and then we'll talk about Elaine as we segue into this situation between the three of them.
Okay. I will say that I really liked when Nynaeve punched a woman in the face because she didn't have her powers. I like that Nynaeve is very capable.
Mhm.
I do want to like Nynaeve eventually. I'm not
Mhm.
all aboard. There was a lot of Egwene POV, and she is
Yeah.
struggling with Nynaeve.
Yeah.
So that's going to trigger me, especially with the way the relationship is, because I will
Sure.
maintain that bringing up in your mind that you change someone's diaper so they should have respect for you is not an argument. It's not. Yes, you can consider the fact that you did that as a funny little anecdote. You can't use it as a reason for why she should be taking you legitimately. And like Egwene made a good point when she told Nynaeve that she was acting just like Moraine.
Mhm.
And instead of taking it well and as a moment to learn, Nynaeve internalized that and just got mad at her.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I just feel like, and like, I will say in Nynaeve's defense, there's been a lot online about how much she tugs at her braid when she's mad.
Yeah.
Because Jordan repeats that time and time again.
Tugs on her braid and crosses her arms under her breast.
Well, people said that the playing with your braid is not realistic. Just so people know, I have a really weird tick where I play with the ends of my hair constantly.
Mhm.
And so people are like, it's not realistic that she pulls on her braid that much. I'm like, oh no, it's realistic.
Yeah, I even
it's
mentioned
just,
this to you. I was like,
yeah.
the constant tugging on her braid thing is weird.
But like, I'm literally sitting here playing with the ends of my hair because it's a nervous habit and it's what I do when I'm talking. So I don't think it's fair when people are like, that's not realistic. I think it's a bad way for Jordan to portray this nervous habit she has. Like, don't repeat it every single time you see it happening. Just mention a couple times that like she always does this, and then do it like 2 or 3 more times throughout the book where it's like, oh, she's aggravated, so she's tugging on it even harder than she always does.
That's not Robert Jordan's style. His style is to mention it. Okay, so we've got one chapter that has 10 pages. Let's see, 100 times.
Yeah. The only thing that's not me playing with my hair recently was the fact that I went curly and I can't pull on it anymore because it'll ruin it. Go. So like, but I play with the ends of my hair constantly. So I don't think that it's fair for people to say that doesn't happen because that is a nervous habit I have.
I mean, fair.
Yeah. But I just felt Nynaeve is like,
I think the thing with like, you pointed out that Nynaeve was being hypocritical when it comes to like her manipulating that healer woman. I think a lot of that, like Robert Jordan writes her like that on purpose to kind of come off as a little bit comical. Like she doesn't even realize it. You know what I mean? And
I just don't think it's funny.
I kind of think it is because she gets instantly so mad then afterwards when they're like, oh, that's kind of being like Moraine. And she's like, what? I am not like her. Like, well, yeah, you kind of
just don't like characters like that. Like you're not self-aware. You're in denial. I hate people in denial. You know this about me. I am not a denial person. So I understand that it happens. It's just frustrating to read. Like, have some self-awareness, Nynaeve. You keep saying you don't want to be Aes Sedai, but you're there. And there's no like inner struggle of like, I have to, like, Jordan doesn't do a good enough job of describing why she's there. He keeps telling you why she's there through all these other people, but not showing you. bothers me and I hate it. So until he gives me more interesting stuff about Nynaeve, I'm just not on board.
I mean, that's fair. I I feel like she doesn't have to be a character that you like, but I like her, and I feel like she's probably just one of those characters that is misread by a lot of people, and I also feel like I'm one of these characters in my own story in my own life where I feel like the perception that other people have of me is different than like how I feel I really am. Does that make sense?
I get what you're saying. I
And
don't think
I feel
people
like she comes off as really stubborn and someone who doesn't care about things, but in reality, I feel like she's actually very caring and she's very maternal, and she just wants to be seen as capable, and she portrays that by being like more aggressive, overly aggressive. And I think that's just an insecurity thing, that when you're insecure in your the way that you are, that you kind of be go on the offense and try to overdo it, if that makes sense.
So what you're saying is making sense. The one thing I would push back on is I'm not sure that by me reading her in a different way, I'm misreading the character.
No,
I
I'm not saying
don't
you're misreading her.
No, I know, but this is about like a bigger topic. I don't think Jordan writes the women well enough, and I think people
Sure.
impute the characteristics they want to see on the female characters.
I think that's a valid argument.
So when you see things that portray like it's kind of, again, like I said last week, where it's like Harry Potter the chosen one, he's really boring so that you can impute yourself on him.
Sure.
I think through a weird way Jordan's doing the same thing with the women, but he doesn't mean to. It's just because he's not a good writer when it comes to women, unfortunately. Right. He tries his hardest, but it's not there. So I think it's easy to read Nynaeve the way you're reading her because of your past history and the way you impute wants and wishes on her based on what your perception of her is. And I can read the same character and read it in the entirely different way, where I see it.
Yeah, we have two totally different experiences.
This is hypocritical. This is a woman in denial. She's not willing to do self-growth, and like that's the same with the Queen. I think at the beginning you imputed a lot of reasoning on her and I imputed different reasoning on her. And I actually think that this is where a lot of the infighting on women character in Jordan's work comes from. Because they're kind of blank canvases, people tend to pick up on certain personality traits they recognize and then give reasons for it. And those reasons don't match because people are different.
Sure.
So like
that's very fair.
Yeah. So we get way more with Matt and his internal machinations. And like, even with Egwene, although we spend a lot of time with her, I think sometimes we don't always have great internal machinations for her. Because it's like, Gawain likes you. Oh, I never thought about him that way. It's just like, there's nothing there. And so I think that the women characters are much more like catalysts for conversation instead of just being like, yeah, we both like Perrin. And maybe men read that differently. I don't know. We're two women talking about this book series. So men, if you have a different perspective, let me know.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, I think that that's an interesting conversation to have, where it's like, oh no, I definitely have like way different thoughts than you about Perrin and like da 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 da. But I think that the boys are often shown their characteristics. You're often told what the girls are thinking. So that being said, I think my dislike of Nynaeve is my own baggage coming with me into her character. And I don't think it's wrong to like Nynaeve, despite the fact that I got into like a yelling contest with you and Veronica about it because I was so upset about it. Just so people know, I'm not typically like that. Like they were both weirded out because I never get like that about a character.
You had a lot of strong feelings about it. And I think it's one of those things too, where she's definitely a flawed character. And I don't know that flawed characters always have to have flaws that are endearing.
Yeah, but I don't dislike non-endearing flawed characters. Like I'm not someone who I usually stand up for flawed characters, but something about Nynaeve was hard for me to do.
Sure. Yeah. I think she's a character that people are very black or white on, that they either really like her or they don't. And I think that from a lot of the things that I've read, that people kind of either grow with her and her character, or they just kind of stay the way that they have felt throughout.
I think my frustration is I'm usually not a person who dislikes a character openly. I'm usually someone who can see the merit in them. And so far, there's like this weird black spot with Nynaeve that I just can't get through. So I pick up on like things I like about her, but I can't pick up on liking her.
I think with me, I think that I still just see her as like a really caring, maternal type character. And I think that I keep saying this, but she holds a lot of stock in herself, and she trusts herself more than anyone. And she just knows that she's capable of doing things and is willing to try things before she's willing to risk other people trying things and getting hurt, especially Egwene. And I think that, you know, a lot of the way that she comes off is insecurity. And that's just the vibe that I get from her.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good reading. It's a better reading than I have. So I won't give you that. Jury's still out for me. I'm never going to say I will like forever dislike a character. I've never had this kind of reaction with a character where I'm this frustrated over not liking them, though. I can say
that's
that.
True. But are you more frustrated with Elaine?
I don't care about Elaine. You can go off on Elaine. We'll move on to Elaine.
I don't have anything to go off on her. I just thought maybe you would have reacted really strongly because Elaine slaps.
Okay.
Egwene.
Let's put this out there. Egwene didn't deserve to be slapped in that moment. Egwene got slapped for no reason. Egwene made a very valid point. And I guess this is another thing about like older sisters versus younger sisters. A lot of times, like younger sisters, speaking from my own perspective, I spend a lot of time not trying to make my sisters mad. So when she made a valid critique and Nynaeve got so angry, someone else had to take care of it for her. Like, and that was a very visceral reaction to me where I'm like, oh God, I don't like that happened. Because like all Egwene says was like, you acted a lot like Moraine in that situation. And Elaine's reaction was, you selfish, awful person, slap. Like, it just didn't make sense in the context.
I kind of read it as like Egwene kind of being like, oh, you're kind of acting like Moraine, you know, kind of not just like pointing it out the way that you just said it, like with more of a tone is how I kind of.
Okay, so she deserved to be slapped?
I didn't say that. I didn't say she deserved to be slapped.
I don't know. I just hated that moment really bad. I thought that like physical
violence. You'd have
violence.
to get into Elaine's perspective to know.
But like, okay, so Nynaeve has acted like a terror a million times, and Elaine doesn't do jack squat about that. But she decides to slap Egwene. Like, it just makes no sense to me. Like, Nynaeve has been awful to multiple people, and everyone just deals with her tantrums. And then Egwene throws one tantrum, and she literally gets physically slapped. I mean, I still have nothing to say about Elaine's character. I just hated that moment.
I just thought you would have more of a reaction to Elaine now.
No, because Elaine just seems kind of. Elaine is nothing to me. Again, I kind of hold off on making a character assessment of people until I get like way more into them.
Yeah,
Elaine has done nothing, guys. She's done nothing besides like
4, and I have a funny take on Elaine, but
I mean, don't spoil.
I'm not gonna spoil it, but. As far as the Dragon Reborn, Hannah's right. There's nothing we know really about Elaine. So as far as like people that are like, Elaine's my favorite character in book 3, I'm like, I don't get it, but
I don't get it either. There's nothing to go off of.
That's fine.
You're imputing characteristics that you see in her. You don't actually know.
But what? Like you like slaps? I don't know. I don't like
slaps.
I don't get it.
I'm not sure, but I think if you could argue, I think people think like for Princess, she's very capable. She keeps asking to be put into these journeys when she doesn't have experiences. She's learning as she goes. I think she could be someone who's like fish out of water type stuff. And I think some people really like the capable, she's doing this because she wants to. She has power. Okay. She knows how things go. She can work within kingdoms. She has
power and influence, but she's kind of rejecting that to work her way up from the bottom.
And she's helping the girls because as they travel, she shows like diplomacy is important.
Sure, she knows about history and their backstories and stuff. That's
but I think people think like they like the diplomacy, they like the capability of her, and that's what they're reading into her. My opinion. She's a
there's
nothing
just
character.
I guess there's just not enough there for me to
There's
be
not enough there.
like, oh, this is a great character.
She really effing hates Galad. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, that's so random to me also, where she's like, this brother is great, that brother is bad.
I think it's going to get like 5 books in. We're going to find out that that brother isn't great. In fact, like the bad brother is bad, but it's just like, I don't care unless you show me. Like, it doesn't mean anything that she's running up and down, throwing a tantrum that she doesn't like that brother. Like, it doesn't matter. No, I don't really care about Elaine. I'm not going to like misinterpret the slap as her entire personality. It was just a moment I didn't like.
I just thought maybe you'd have more of a reaction to that because it was her that slapped. Like, I even feel like that was just so random. Like, if it was Nynaeve that slapped her, it would have even made more sense.
That would have been Nynaeve's reaction. But like Elaine punishing Egwene on behalf of Nynaeve just didn't make sense.
It was random. And
it also, like, has Jordan ever seen women fight? Because that's not what happens. Like, there's not a moment where the third party slaps the other one.
The third party comes in like, never say that.
How dare you? You angered Nynaeve. It's just like Elaine or Egwene made a point. Like, at the end of the day, Nynaeve was acting like Moiraine. She can't ever be questioned. Because even in her POV, she was just like, I can't believe Egwene's not listening to me. And it's like, you want to know who probably says that about you? Moiraine. Have some personal growth, girl. So, sorry, not to go back to Nynaeve. I don't care about Elaine. Do you have anything else to say about her?
I've said it. I don't get it with her.
Do you want to do
there's Min we can talk about,
or do we want to do Fael and Selene before we do like Fael, Selene?
Let's do Min because that's so quick.
Okay.
I mean, Min gets sent to deliver a letter. She's mad about it. The end.
So you don't like Min. I don't mind her. I don't think she's great.
I don't dislike Min. I had high hopes, and I feel like they're kind of being crushed because I was expecting not saying that characters can't like boys and like be interested in having relationships. That's not my thing. But my thing is that it was just like sudden that she's boy crazy. And but in this book, we hardly see her. I mean, she gives a reading to Perrin, and then Maureen's like, get out of here, go deliver this letter. So
we talked a little bit in our plot episode about how like, and as I talked about it, I convinced myself to like Min more about the fact that she is a non-femme character who wants feminine things. I like that as a character who exists. I wish Robert Jordan had not written it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not as interesting when he writes it.
It's not well written, because I would agree with what you're saying, but I don't think he did it well, and I don't like the way that he did it.
Right. I agree.
And so I don't like it.
Yeah. He didn't do it well. It's an interesting topic that I think people should think more on, but that was a dumb way to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Perfect. Glad we had this discussion on Min.
Yeah.
Oh, and do we want to do Varen? We can finish it off with Fael, because I think she's probably the best one to do. What do you think about Varen?
Varen is sneaky.
Sneaky.
Like, she gave Egwene that ring and then is like, go ahead and jump in there into that archway. Nothing will happen.
Did she say go through the archway, though? She wasn't around.
She didn't not tell her to do it.
You're so mad about this.
Well, I was kind of upset because it was one of those things where there's this weird noise coming out and they're like, oh, it should be okay. It should be okay. Then she almost dies, and Egwene's like, oh, it was probably this ring that Varen gave me. Oops.
Well, again, Varen didn't know that.
Did she, though?
I mean, maybe she did, but there's no reason to think
she's
that
being
at
really
this point.
shady. She's not handing over all the notes from, was it Corianne?
Oh, yeah, I do think that was pretty shady.
Like, come on, give her those notes. She needs them. You're kind of withholding stuff, and I don't feel good about you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, jury's out on Varen. She's just a weird character to me at this moment.
I just think she's shady.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm out on Varen. I'm a wait and see kind of person on that one.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
What about the Amaryllis seat?
Suan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have a ton of thoughts on her. She seems
legit.
She knows what she's doing. She's kind of playing both sides, but you kind of have to. in this situation. She's trying to take down Black Aja, but then she's also trying to not tell people that she's doing this. So, I mean, she's got a lot going on. She's got a lot of...
It's so funny when it's like, I'm not sure I can trust Moraine, even though Moraine has told me everything she knows and she's doing everything she can. I can only trust you two girls who I barely know anything about, except for the fact that you were kidnapped. I do feel like the reasoning on that is a little flawed, but...
Well, a little. I mean, come on. Yeah. There's a lot of
the
things.
Plot contrivance.
There's a lot of things in this where they're like, they'll say something like, "Oh, Perrin is very capable of protecting us," and we're like, how do you know? Like, how do you know that he's very capable of protecting you, Moraine? Like, wouldn't you rather be with Lan? You've been with him for a really long time. Aren't you positive that he's the one that you should like be with right now? No, you're just like,
no, because she's just trying to.
You're just trying to butter Perrin up. Like, come on.
She loves him.
You don't know what he's
in love.
capable of in terms of fighting. You've seen him fight like what, twice? Come on.
Yeah.
But like situations like that where they'll be like, I mean, that's not a very good example, but like situations like that where they're like, yeah, these random people from Emmons Field that we don't know very well are the only people we can trust, or the only people that we can rely on to help us win this battle. And like, but you've known these other people like a really long time. Are you sure?
They put a lot of stock into Tavern. They put a lot of stock into Tavern. They're Tavern, and that is all that matters.
I mean, that's fair, I guess.
I mean, it's not fair. It's a dumb plot contrivance, but here we are, 3 books in, and they're still doing it. Oh, Jordan. It's really late, guys. Yeah. I think the Amaryllis knows what she's doing. I don't love that she's just like, I'm going to trust these 2 girls for no reason. And then Elaine, because I knew they told her.
Yeah. Yeah. Because Nynaeve basically just never trust her with a secret because she won't keep it.
That was funny. I did like that Nynaeve did that.
I kind of liked that though, where
it was very funny.
The Amaryllis like, don't tell anyone, and they go in the room and Elaine's like, what happened? She's like, get this, and tells them, and Egwene's just like, ugh.
I do like when Nynaeve gaslights people. That is very funny to me. When she's like, leave the room. I don't know. I just made them leave the room. And then when she's just like,
I also like that. That's really gutsy, where she's like, why are you in the accepteds room? And they're like, oh, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to be in here. And they're like, oh, are they not supposed to be in the accepteds room? No idea, but it worked.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell anyone about this.
If you have confidence, that people will kind of just get on board.
You know that one of my main quotes to live life by is walk with confidence, people will follow.
I mean, that's Nynaeve.
Yeah, that is Nynaeve. Maybe I just don't like Nynaeve because I see a lot of myself in her. It's a lot of my worst qualities. But I see only her worst quality. Oh God, that says a lot about me and myself. Let's move on. Could I be a person who self-sabotages and only sees the worst qualities? I don't want to get into that. It's pretty late. We should probably keep on moving.
Who else do we have to talk about?
We have to talk about Elida before we get to Zareen. Elida is shady as hell.
Yes, she
cannot be trusted.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. She's like weirdly attached to Elaine. I don't know. But
she also hates her. Like, it's not like she loves her. It's like we grew up together, so I feel like I own you. It's like kind of thing.
Obligation type thing. Yeah. Not even obligation. I don't even know how to describe it.
I feel like she thinks she has some claim to Elaine. And like, it's one of those things where it's like, I claim you and I demand respect from you. And Elaine's just like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
No, thank you. I'm a princess. I'm the heir apparent.
But Elida is very shady.
Elida's very shady. Well, also like in the future, she like takes Egwene down, or like in the prospective future, when she walked through that gate, she took Egwene down, and Egwene was like immediately captured by people who are going to steal her, including bad people. So then it's like, well, is Elida like part of that, or is that just part of like going through? We can talk about that next week when we talk about themes and stuff. But these are all good questions to have about Elida, because I don't know if she can be trustworthy. She's obviously kind of awful.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap it up with Zareen or Fail, meaning falcon.
Okay. Not a fan.
Laura just hates women who push other men into the mud as a crush thing because
Okay,
Laura's
like-
not in second grade.
Like that is the vibe I get from her, where she's always just like kind of picking on Perrin and like, hey big guy, what are you doing over there? Blacksmith, or like, come on.
Does she call him big guy? You keep saying big guy, and I can't remember
I'm
if she
almost
actually used that.
positive. I'm almost positive that she like calls him big guy. But I'm just very bothered by the way that she shows that she likes him. And come on,
I might
just
call
like
him like boy, but I don't think she calls him like, hey, big guy. Like,
she may not have said. She says big boy. That's worse.
No, I don't think she calls him like big boy. I think she just calls him like, hey, boy. Like, you know, like, I don't know. Guys, does Fail call him big guy?
I
need someone with a Kindle
big guy
to control F that, because I need to know if big guy is in the book. Because Laura, every time she talks about Fail, she just walks around calling him big guy. And I'm like, did she call him big guy?
Maybe did I read a different book? And am I thinking of a totally different book?
We do know that out of the many things people have learned over the like 11 episodes they've heard of us, Hannah is terrible about like names. So she could be calling a big guy, and it just like does not enter my brain space because it feels like a name.
But also, that's not a name. I mean,
no, but even nicknames, I don't, you know me, like that's not the most important thing in the book. I'm reading for like character development and all that stuff. So like anytime there's a name,
I'm here for the nicknames.
Count all the times I say, Laura, what's their name? Or I can't remember their name. Like it happens constantly. I can't remember anyone's name. I had to look up Zareen's name because I like zeroed in Fail and forgot she ever had another name, even though Perrin calls her Zareen for like half the novel.
What was the other name? It was
Mandarb.
Blade.
Which in fact does sound like it should be a horse's name. Like it sounds like it should be a horse's name and not a woman's name.
Well, it means blade, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Oh.
Yeah. So a word meaning blade in the old tongue. He says, that's the horse's name.
That's a funny moment.
That is a very funny moment. I enjoyed that. I, again, have no predisposition to Zareen. Like, I don't care about her. She's nothing to me. I know nothing about her characteristic.
She is also nothing to me.
I don't. I'm not sure if any of her conversations pass the Bechdel test. Like, does she ever talk to Moraine about anything other
does
than
she talk to anyone besides Perrin?
She does talk to Moraine a couple times because she yells at her. She walks into Moraine's room and hits the hedgehog, which is the funniest like tool. It's like a tiny hedgehog. Why?
Well, they're cute. Why?
Thank you for that, Laura. They are very cute. They also would have like kept her into a deep sleep for a very long time. Yeah, jury's out on her. Again, I'm not someone who makes like a quick judgment. I like to know more about the character.
We don't know very much about her at all. The only thing we know is that she has the weirdly trying to tell Perrin that she's got a crush on him, and she's not good at it.
Okay, but here's the thing. None of the boys are telling the women that they're good. Like none of the men are good at telling women they have crushes on them. They just
because
say
Matt's
it really
better
loud.
With girls than the other two. And
they just say they have a crush on a girl really loud in their head, hoping that the girl knows. Like that's what they're doing. I have a crush on you. Do you hear the thought in my brain?
Burn me. I wish Matt was here. He's better with girls than I am. If we were back in Emmons Field.
How do they think Matt is good with women? That's what I want to know.
Even Matt acknowledges that he's not good with women.
Matt recognizes he's terrible with women. And he's right. He is a toxic male who women want to leave.
But all three of them will mention that the other two are better.
Okay, again, if they did it like once or twice, I would find that really cute and endearing and a weird characterization about all of them. The amount of times Jordan talks about it is what's annoying.
It's happened so many times.
To the point where I just tweeted about it on Twitter and people were like, I don't want to get alcohol poisoning if I do that as a drinking game.
Yeah, I mean,
people know.
That's dangerous.
Jordan just repeats himself so often.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I feel that way about Fail, is that it's another repetitive thing where rather than just, a couple of mentions of her kind of teasing Perrin, it's just drilled into us that, okay, she's giving him a hard time because she has a crush on him. Cool.
I mean, in the 90s, that was like every romantic comedy ever. You have to be a little mean or else he doesn't get it.
There's nothing wrong with being nice.
There's nothing wrong with being nice. You are nice.
Straightforward.
Hey, I like you. Cool. Thank you. I don't know.
I can't wait till we talk about book 4.
Oh God.
I have such a funny take.
Stop hinting at it. I'm not going to read it until we're done with talking about the themes.
Oh,
rude.
Come on.
No, stop it.
Isn't that one of the 6 books you're taking on vacation? Come on.
It is not.
That is disappointing.
No, thank you.
It's like 800 pages. You can squeeze in a couple.
My niece, her daycare, whenever they want her to not do something, they say, no, thank you. And then they say her name. So now it's come into my repertoire where I'll be like, no, thank you, Whiskey. No, thank you. And it's just like, I sound like I am scolding a toddler because that is literally where I learned it from.
Whenever Briggs tries to get food from me and I don't want to give him any because I tend to not give my dog food that I eat. He only gets dog food basically. And even if I have chips or whatever, I tend to not throw them to him. But I'll just be eating and I'll just say, you don't like this. And it doesn't stop him from sitting there and staring at me or whatever. But I say it literally every time.
You reasoned with him so well.
He'll sit there and look at me like, okay, I'm waiting. Give me one of those. And I'll just literally just be like, no, you don't like this.
I like that you're trying to reason with a dog.
It doesn't work. I mean,
no, of course it doesn't work, Laura.
This is the dog that
what?
This is the dog that runs into the back door every single day. So he's going to realize what I'm saying.
I told you sometimes I throw treats up into the air and there's usually about 5 treats and Whiskey can find 3 and then she just gives up. My dad calls her the dumbest dog in Cook County and I can't disagree with him.
Huh?
Yeah. But don't worry, your dog isn't the dumbest dog in the county you live in because that would go to my uncle's dog that my dad reminds my uncle of all the time. Just so you know.
Well, that's good.
Anything else about Fael?
I have nothing else on her because,
she is there to service Perrin.
Yeah.
And that does not lead well to a well-written
she's going
woman.
To be fighting for him.
With the hawk woman at the end of the series, who seems also very haughty and very full of herself. And I don't care. I don't give 2 craps about these 2 women that I met in this book fighting over Perrin.
Correct.
Perrin deserves better. Perrin deserves Moraine, guys. If Moraine were only younger.
Again, why did this have to be rushed? He had to introduce both of them in the same book.
Yeah, because in the next book, he has to introduce Matt's love interest, obviously. The boys can't go 5 books without a love interest, Laura. What are they going to do?
I mean, it would have been even just fine if we would have had just the one love interest introduced.
Yeah.
And then a couple books later, we find, oh, here's the other one that's going to be fighting. No.
There are 14 books. We could have gotten through this without this. It's very dumb. We don't like it. No, thank you. No, thank you, Robert Jordan. No, thank you.
I don't like this.
Well, this is a sad way to end the podcast. But let us know if you agree with our assessments. You can send us what you think of the women of the Wheel of Time at OWWRpod at Instagram, Twitter, or owwrpod@gmail.com. We can be found on all social platforms. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. That helps us reach out to other people. It's very important, and we want to invite other people to join the discussion. We hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.